Dose response. Remember the risk equal hazard times DR times exposure. Here's the dose response. What is the minimum amount of X which is going to make you think you're going to die or make other clinical symptoms? We normally focus on those that are the most toxic to us. The E. coli 0157s, the Giardias, the E. colis. But not everyone is equally susceptible. Some populations, subpopulations, show significant differences in susceptibilities. Children under the age of 5 are particularly sensitive to E. coli 0157H7, and in fact, it's the leading cause of kidney failure in children under the age of 5. That puts them in a high-risk category. So what is the dose of these infectious agents that can cause illness? All of the gastrointestinal illnesses, as a microbiologist, I can tell you, these doses to cause illness are incredibly small. Frighteningly small is a better way to put it. If you take all of those 4 agents up there, take the minimum infective dose of 10 cells, put them together side by side, put them on the piece of paper in front of you, it will not cover the dot on an eye. You think you're going to see that in the water and not swallow it? Mm-mm. It's in the water.
Excuse me, is there a minimum, is there a water volume, which you're talking about 10 cells per X?
The question is there a minimum volume on there? In a dose situation, it's the minimum amount of this infective agent. So it could be 10 cells per 100 mils if you swallow 100 mils, or if you swallow 1 mil and you've got 10, so it's
dose to ingest.
A minimum number of these cells that you swallow. Whether you swallow a gallon of water or 1 cup of water, if it has that many in it, a good significant portion of your patrons are going to end up thinking they're going to be very sick. So it's not related to the volume, it's related to the total amount of these infective agents. Normally, it takes a lot of Pseudomonas to make you have a rash. Okay, 14-year-old boys in a swimming pool. How many hours does a 14-year-old boy spend in a swimming pool on a hot summer day? Hours. They come out looking like a raisin, right? So you can have a very small amount of Pseudomonas in the water, but they've got a very long exposure time. So in this particular organism, the longer you're in the water, the more you're exposed to. So, it's sometimes the number, sometimes it's the length of exposure that's a key factor in here. And, what's the minimum amount of combined chlorine in your swimming pool that's going to cause a rash? Anybody that has a definitive answer, please raise your hand. And for the record, for those of you watching the videotape, not a single hand went up. In other words, nobody's got a definitive answer of how the maximum amount of combined chlorine is. And anybody that gives you a definitive number is taking just a wild guess. And so it's somewhere above 0.2, but we don't know what it is. Respiratory, normally it takes a lot of Legionella to make you sick, unless you're a smoker, immunocompromised, diabetic, alcoholic, or any other condition that leads to a suppressed immune system. And in that case, it takes just a couple of whiffs of gas coming off a spa, and you can have up to a 40% fatality rate. All right. Look at these factors on here. As facility manager, do you have any control over any of these? Can you select which strain of Pseudomonas is growing in your spa? Can you select the non-toxic E. colis? Can you say, excuse me, you people over here, you have pathogenic E. coli. You are not allowed in my facility. I can tell just by the look in your eyes. You have good E. coli. I'm going to charge you half, and we're going to ban these people over here. Nah. All right, so you got 3 factors to control in your equation, and we just spent a lot of time describing the one factor you have absolutely no control over. So dose response is something that we live with. And it's a very critical factor to realize that some of these things are very important. That means we have to focus on identifying the hazards and controlling the exposure.